Chosen one. Stop scrolling. Stop everything. Right now. Why are you awake at this exact moment? Why did your finger pause on this message when thousands of others passed by like shadows? Why does something deep in your chest recognize these words before your mind can even process them? Here's what they don't want you to know. You didn't find this message. This message hunted you down for 70, 80, maybe 90 years. You've carried a secret ache, a hollow space in your soul that whispers, there has to be more than this. You've survived betrayals that should have broken you. You've endured losses that buried others. You've walked through valleys so dark that even your own shadow abandoned you. Yet here you are, still breathing, still standing, still believing. That's not luck, beloved. That's proof. Listen to me carefully. This is not another sermon about patience. This is not another message telling you to wait a little longer. This is heaven, pressing pause on the noise of your world because your appointed hour has arrived. Something shifted in the spiritual realm 3 days ago. The same God who spoke galaxies into existence whispered your name across eternity and said, now, tell them now. You see, Wednesday is coming, and Wednesday carries weight that will change everything. But before I tell you why you need to be alone on that day, completely alone, I need you to understand something that will shatter every lie you've believed about your life. That restlessness you feel, that's not age, that's activation, that sense of being different. That's not isolation, that's identification. That feeling like you're waiting for something you can't name, that's because you are waiting, and the waiting ends Wednesday. Before we go deeper into this sacred mystery, I want to pause and thank every single one of you who has supported this message through Super Thanks. Your generosity means more than you know. You're not just donating, you're helping spread light to others who feel alone in their calling. Whether you give or not, I'm deeply grateful for your presence here. Your support, your time, your attention, it all matters. And if this message resonates with your soul, go ahead and let the Holy Spirit lead your heart. But right now, if you feel this word burning in your chest like a coal from heaven's altar, if something in your spirit just said, yes, that's me, I need you to whisper these words out loud. That's me, Lord. Don't type it. Don't think it. Whisper it. Let heaven hear your voice cut through the static of this broken world. Because what I'm about to reveal about Wednesday will explain why you've survived everything you've survived, and why your greatest miracle was always scheduled for this exact season. The dawn is breaking after your longest night. And Wednesday is when you finally see the sun. Why does your body ache in ways the doctors can't explain? Why does grief sit in your chest like a stone that never dissolves? Why does every sunset remind you of another day survived, but not truly lived? You've walked through valleys that have no names, valleys where the echoes of your own voice are the only company you keep. You've buried spouses who were your whole world. You've watched your children grow distant. You've counted pills instead of blessings. You've measured your worth by a social security check that barely covers the cost of staying alive. But here's what hell doesn't want you to understand about your pain. Every single tear you've shed has been collected in bottles by heaven itself. Listen to me, dear one. Your valley wasn't a mistake. Your waiting wasn't wasted time. Your survival wasn't luck. It was divine preservation for this exact moment when I would speak these words over your life. Think about Job for a moment. 95 years of faithful living, and then in one day, everything gone. His children, his wealth, his health stripped away like bark from a tree. His wife looked at his boil-covered body and said, "Curse God and die." His friends gathered around him like vultures, whispering that his suffering must be punishment for secret sins. But God knew something they couldn't see. Job wasn't being destroyed, he was being refined. Every loss was making room for double restoration. Every tear was watering the soil of his comeback. Just like you. You thought the doctor's diagnosis was the end of your story. But what if it was the beginning of your greatest testimony? You thought your husband's funeral closed the book on love. But what if losing him opened your eyes to love himself? You thought retiring meant becoming invisible, but what if stepping away from the world's stage positioned you on heaven's platform? Consider Joseph, 17 years old, when God showed him dreams of greatness, then betrayed, sold, falsely accused, forgotten in prison for 13 long years. 13 years of wondering if he'd misheard God's voice. 13 years of watching the sun rise and set on the same stone walls. But every day in that dungeon was building something inside him that a palace education never could: character that could handle absolute power without corruption. Wisdom that could save nations without pride. Humility that could forgive brothers who tried to murder him. The pit wasn't his punishment, it was his preparation. And what about Hannah? Year after year, traveling to the temple, watching other women hold their babies while her arms stayed empty, the other wife mocking her barrenness, her own husband asking, "Am I not better to you than 10 sons?" Missing the point entirely. But Hannah's empty womb was making room for Samuel the prophet, who would change the destiny of Israel. Her tears weren't evidence of God's forgetfulness. They were the labor pains of a miracle. You see, beloved, you've been like an oak tree in a hurricane. Storm after storm has beaten against you. The winds of betrayal, the floods of financial ruin, the lightning strikes of sudden loss. People driving by probably thought, "That old tree won't make it through another winter." But what they couldn't see was happening underground. Every storm was driving your roots deeper. Every gust of wind was strengthening your trunk. Every season of drought was teaching you to find water in places others couldn't reach. And now, after decades of weathering, you stand stronger than trees planted in perfect soil. Your branches may be scarred, but they're unbreakable. Your bark may be rough, but it's weatherproof. Your roots run so deep that no storm can uproot you now. I met a widow in Bronx last month, 83 years old, living alone in a one-bedroom apartment. She told me she felt useless, invisible, forgotten by everyone, including God. But then she mentioned, almost as an afterthought, that she'd been praying for her troubled grandson every day for 15 years. Last week, that grandson called her crying. He'd just given his life to Christ, gotten clean from drugs, and was asking for her prayers as he entered ministry. 15 years of what felt like unanswered prayer had just exploded into generational transformation. You thought delay meant denial. But what if waiting was heaven's shield, protecting you from receiving God's blessing before you could handle it? What if every not yet was actually not until you're ready for something bigger than you asked for? Think about this. Moses was 80 when God called him to deliver Israel. 80. When most people are thinking about their final years, God was just getting started with his plan. Those 40 years in the wilderness weren't wasted time. They were graduate school in faith, trust, and total dependence on God. Right now, someone listening to my voice is crying because this is your story. The years you thought were empty were actually full of God's preparation, full of character building, full of root deepening that's about to pay dividends you can't even imagine. Every night you couldn't sleep was a prayer vigil you didn't know you were keeping. Every tear that felt unnoticed was actually watering seeds God planted in secret places. Every day you survived when you wanted to give up was proof that something inside you is indestructible. You've been asking God, why me? Why this pain? Why this waiting? But Wednesday is coming, and Wednesday will answer every question. Wednesday will show you that your valley wasn't your grave, it was your garden. And what's about to bloom will take your breath away. If this valley feels like your story, if these words are hitting places in your heart you thought were dead, I need you to declare something out loud right now. Don't whisper it. Don't think it. Say it with the same voice that has cried out in pain for years. Still standing. Because that alone, the fact that you're still here, still breathing, still believing, that alone is proof of victory. But the valley is ending, dear one, and what's waiting on the other side will make every tear worth it. You want to know why Wednesday matters? Because Wednesday is when you finally understand what the fire was really doing to you. Listen to me, dear one. That cancer diagnosis at 67 that left you staring at hospital ceiling tiles, wondering if this was how your story ends. That bankruptcy at 72 when you lost the house your grandfather built with his own hands. That phone call at 3 in the morning telling you your baby was gone. That moment when your spouse of 53 years looked at you like a stranger and asked, "Who are you?" You thought those flames were meant to destroy you. But I'm here to tell you something that will shatter every lie hell ever whispered in your ear. You were not being burned, you were being refined. The silversmith knows something the silver doesn't. When he places that precious metal into the furnace, the silver screams from the heat. It writhes, it melts, it appears to be dying, but the craftsman never takes his eyes off the process. He knows exactly how hot the fire needs to be. He knows precisely how long to leave it there, and he knows the exact moment when every impurity has been burned away and only pure silver remains. You are that silver, chosen one, and God has never taken his eyes off you. Think about Daniel thrown into a furnace heated 7 times hotter than normal. 7 times. The soldiers who threw him in died from the heat before they could step back. But Daniel? He walked around in those flames like he was strolling through Central Park on a spring morning. Why? Because fire cannot consume what God has marked for glory. Your body bears scars, doesn't it? That surgery scar running down your chest, those marks on your arms from falls you barely remember, the lines etched deep around your eyes from tears you cried when no one was watching. But let me tell you what heaven sees when it looks at those marks. They're not signs of damage. They're heaven's handwriting proof you walked through fire and survived. I know a woman, let's call her Eleanor, 84 years old, buried 3 husbands, lost 2 children, survived the Depression, World War II, Vietnam, 9/11s, and the pandemic. You know what she told me last week? She said, "Pastor, I used to think God was punishing me, but now I realize he was preparing me. Every fire made me stronger. Every loss made me wiser. Every scar made me softer toward others who are hurting." Eleanor didn't just survive the fire. She became the fire, a living flame of hope for everyone who meets her. But here's the question burning in your chest right now. Why didn't the fire destroy you? Why are you still here when others who faced far less didn't make it? Why does your heart still beat when by all rights it should have stopped years ago? Because it wasn't meant to destroy you, beloved. It was meant to reveal you. Every flame that licked at your soul was exposing the gold underneath. Every trial that pressed against you was squeezing out the impurities. Every valley you walked through was teaching your feet how to climb mountains. The fire didn't come to end your story, it came to write your testimony in letters of pure gold. Right now, I need you to do something. Whether you're sitting in your living room, lying in your hospital bed, or driving down I-95, I need you to write in your heart, or if you can, in the chat, these 4 words. My miracle is here. Don't think about it, don't analyze it, just declare it. Every declaration strengthens your spirit. Every time you speak those words, something shifts in the realm of the impossible. You see, the enemy's greatest lie isn't that God doesn't love you. His greatest lie is that the fire means God has abandoned you. But the exact opposite is true. The intensity of the fire is proof of the purity of what's being refined. Cheap metal melts in a candle flame, but precious metals require the hottest furnace known to man. The hotter your fire, the more precious your metal. Look at Job. Lost everything, his children, his wealth, his health, his reputation. His own wife told him to curse God and die. But Job understood something that shook hell itself. He said, "Though he slay me, yet will I trust him." That wasn't desperation talking, that was revelation. Job knew he was silver in the silversmith's hands. And when the fire finished its work, God didn't just restore what Job had lost. He doubled it. Because refined silver is worth more than raw silver, tested faith is worth more than untested faith. And a soul that has been through the furnace carries an authority that cannot be counterfeited. Chosen ones, hear me, you are not victims of the fire, You are vessels of victory forged in it. Every flame that touched you was supervised by the Father. Every degree of heat was measured by His hand. Every moment you spent in that furnace was timed by His heartbeat. But here's what's going to shock you about Wednesday, and why you need to be completely alone when it happens. The furnace wasn't just preparing you to survive, it was preparing you to shine. And when God decides to reveal what He's been forging in secret, the light is so brilliant that it can blind those who aren't ready to see it. The appointed hour has come. Do you feel it? That trembling in the atmosphere around you, that electricity in the air that makes your spirit leap before your mind can understand why. What was locked is opening, what bound you is breaking. And the sound you hear echoing through eternity is the creak of heaven's doors swinging wide. But why now? Why you? Why this exact moment when you're reading these words? Because heaven has waited for this precise moment in history, not just your personal history, but the history of nations, the history of time itself. You see, God doesn't operate on our calendar, He operates on divine appointments. And your appointment was scheduled before the first star burned. Jeremiah 1-5 thunders across the centuries. Before I formed you in the womb I knew you. Before you were born I set you apart. Set apart. Not set aside. Not forgotten. Set apart for this exact hour when heaven would need someone who has been tested by fire and proven faithful in the furnace. Think about it. Every betrayal you survived. Every midnight when you thought you couldn't take another breath. Every financial collapse that left you wondering if God had forgotten your address. Every diagnosis that made doctors shake their heads. Every funeral where you buried pieces of your heart. Every moment you whispered, God, if you're still there, I need you now. He was there. He was listening. He was preparing you. You weren't just surviving random tragedies. You were being forged in the crucible of destiny. Because what's about to be released through your life requires the kind of strength that can only be built in the secret place of suffering, transformed into worship. Isaiah 60:1 declares with prophetic fire, Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you. Your light has come, not will come, not might come, has come. Right now, this moment. As these words penetrate your spirit, light is breaking through clouds that have covered you for decades. But here's what will shake you to your core. The reason Wednesday carries such weight is because it represents the culmination of a divine countdown that began the day you were born. Every step you've taken, every tear you've shed, every prayer you've whispered has been leading to this convergence. Wednesday isn't just another day. It's your Red Sea moment, your Jericho moment, your Lazarus come forth moment. Remember when you lost everything in 2008, when the market crashed and your retirement vanished like smoke? You thought it was the end, but heaven was clearing the deck, removing your dependence on systems that could fail, so you would learn to depend on the system that never fails. Remember when your spouse passed and you thought your heart would never heal? When loneliness wrapped around you like grave clothes? You thought it was abandonment. But heaven was preparing you for a different kind of companionship, an intimacy with the Almighty that could only be forged in the furnace of holy solitude. Remember when your children grew distant? When family gatherings became exercises in polite conversation with strangers who share your DNA? You thought it was rejection. But heaven was positioning you to become a spiritual parent to souls who have no earthly family, to become the grandmother to orphans, the father to the fatherless. Every single trial was strategic. The enemy meant it for evil, but God was weaving a tapestry of purpose so intricate that even angels lean in to marvel at His craftsmanship. And now the tapestry is complete. The masterpiece is ready to be unveiled. The symphony you've been rehearsing in the dark is about to be performed before the watching world. This is why you felt that restlessness lately, that stirring in your bones that won't let you settle. That's not old age, beloved. That's your destiny knocking on the door of your consciousness, demanding to be released. The spiritual realm is buzzing right now. Can you sense it? Angels are taking their positions. Demonic forces are scrambling because they know their time of harassment over your life is coming to an end. Even creation itself is holding its breath, waiting for the sons and daughters of God to be revealed. You are that son. You are that daughter. You are the answer to prayers that have been ascending from your bloodline for generations. Your grandmother's midnight tears. They were prophetic intercession for this moment. Your grandfather's silent struggles, they were down payments on your victory. Every ancestor who walked with God through impossible circumstances was making deposits into a spiritual account that's about to pay dividends that will astound you. If you sense doors opening in your life right now, relationships shifting, opportunities appearing, dreams stirring that you thought were dead and buried, declare with me now, "Open, Lord." Speak it as prophecy, speak it as a command, speak it as someone who finally understands that you're not begging for breakthrough. You're announcing its arrival, because Wednesday isn't coming to you. You're arriving at Wednesday, the moment that has been circled in red on heaven's calendar since before time began. The intersection where your prepared life meets God's perfect timing. This is your turning point, where waiting ends and walking begins, where hoping transforms into having, where the promise stops being future tense and becomes present reality. But what exactly will happen on Wednesday that requires you to be completely alone? You know what breaks my heart? Walking into nursing homes across America and seeing God's chosen ones sitting in wheelchairs, staring out windows, convinced their story is over. 87 years old and whispering, "I wasted my life." 92 and believing their best chapters were written decades ago. But I'm here to shatter that lie with the force of heaven's thunder. Dear chosen one, lift your weary head right now. Look past those wrinkled hands that have prayed through countless storms. Look beyond that mirror that shows you aging flesh. Because what you cannot see with your natural eyes is about to be revealed by supernatural sight. You have been carrying a crown your entire life. Not on your head where the world could see it and steal it, but in your spirit where only heaven could guard it and grow it. Every rejection you survived was heaven saying, "Not them. This crown belongs to you." Every door that slammed was God protecting your royal inheritance from those unworthy to witness its glory. Every tear you cried in secret was liquid gold, polishing the very crown that awaits your head. The Apostle Peter, writing to believers scattered and suffering, declared this eternal truth. When the chief shepherd appears, you will receive the crown of glory that will never fade away. Never fade away. Not like your strength that weakened with age. Not like your hair that turned silver with time. Not like your friends who left you one by one through death's doorway. This crown is eternal, beloved. Imperishable. Unshakable. But here's what will shock you to your core. You think this crown is waiting in heaven for someday. You think it's a future reward for faithful service. But I'm here to tell you the crown has already been secured. The transaction was completed before you took your first breath. The only question is, will you wear it? You've spent 70, 80, 90 years walking with your head bowed under the weight of what this world told you about your worth. They said you were too old, too irrelevant, too forgotten. They shuffled you aside like yesterday's newspaper, discarded and unread. But heaven never forgot. Heaven never discarded. Heaven was waiting for this exact moment when you would finally understand. Your survival was not accident. It was appointment. Your endurance was not coincidence. It was coronation. Think about this. How many of your generation are gone? How many friends from your youth have already passed? How many family members have crossed over? Yet you remain. Still breathing, still believing, still listening to this very word. That is not random longevity, chosen one. That is divine preservation. God kept you here because your crowning moment was always scheduled for now. You thought your best days were behind you, but heaven says your crown is ahead of you, secured, eternal, radiant. Every ache in your bones is the weight of glory settling upon you. Every slow step is the measured walk of royalty approaching their throne. Every grey hair is a silver strand in the crown that no earthly king has ever worn. But I need to ask you something that will cut straight to your soul. Will you keep walking bowed under defeat, believing the lies of a world that measures worth by productivity? Or will you rise, even from that wheelchair, even with that walker, even with those trembling hands, and accept the crown that has been waiting for you since before time began? The enemy has been whispering lies in your ear for decades. You're too old now. Your time has passed. God is done with you. But every whisper was desperation. Every lie was his terror that you might discover the truth. You are not winding down, beloved. You are winding up for your greatest hour. You are not fading away. You are burning brighter than ever before. You are not being forgotten. You are being crowned. Right now, I need you to do something that will shake the very foundations of hell. I need you to say these words out loud, right where you are. Crown secured. Don't whisper it. Don't think it. Declare it. Let your voice cut through every lie that ever told you that you were finished, forgotten, or failure. Crown secured. This is not merely a declaration, chosen one. This is destiny speaking through your vocal cords. This is heaven confirming what was written in eternity past. This is the sound of a warrior who finally remembered they were royalty. Your survival was your victory. Every morning you woke up when depression said, stay down. Every step you took when arthritis screamed, stop. Every prayer you whispered when silence seemed to be God's only response. Every breath you drew when life felt too heavy to carry. All of it was proof that you carry something hell could not kill, something death could not claim, something defeat could not destroy. You have already won. The battle is over. The victory is secured. The crown is yours. But now comes the question that will determine how you live every remaining day on this earth. Now that you know your crown is secured, how will you walk? Will you shuffle through your golden years like a pauper, or will you stride with the dignity of one who wears heaven's crown? Because Wednesday is coming, dear one, and Wednesday will reveal just how radiant that crown truly is. Listen to me, chosen one. What you're about to understand will shatter everything you thought you knew about your pain. You've been asking the wrong question your entire life. You've been saying, God, why me? Why this struggle? Why this heartbreak? But heaven has been whispering the real question, why not you? Who else could carry this weight? Who else has the spine to break what's been binding your bloodline for 150 years? Every sleepless night you've endured, every tear you've cried in that empty kitchen at 3 a.m., every moment you wanted to quit but somehow found the strength to take one more breath. That wasn't just your personal battle. That was you standing in the gap for every generation that comes after you. Think about this. Right now, there's a 7-year-old child somewhere in America who carries your DNA. Maybe it's your granddaughter, maybe your great-nephew. And that child is either going to inherit your chains or your freedom, the addiction that's haunted your family tree for 4 generations, the poverty that's followed your name like a shadow, the depression that's whispered lies to every firstborn. That ends with you, or it continues through them. You see, when Gideon stood trembling in that winepress, hiding from his enemies, he thought he was just trying to survive another day. But God looked at him and said, "Mighty warrior." Why? Because heaven doesn't see your present condition. Heaven sees your generational assignment. One man's obedience delivered an entire nation from oppression. When Queen Esther stood before King Ahasuerus, her knees were shaking. She could have died for approaching the throne uninvited, but she declared, "If I perish, I perish." And her courage saved not just her own life, but every Jewish family in the Persian Empire. One woman's decision to risk everything broke the spirit of genocide over an entire race. But let me tell you about a woman whose name you know, but whose true calling will shock you. Harriet Tubman. They called her Moses because she led slaves to freedom through the Underground Railroad. But here's what they don't teach in history books. Harriet wasn't just freeing bodies. She was breaking spiritual chains. Every person she led to freedom carried liberation in their bloodstream to their children, their grandchildren, their great-grandchildren. That woman had Zeitzuras. She suffered from narcolepsy. She had a traumatic brain injury from being struck in the head with a 2-pound weight when she was just 13 years old. By every earthly measure, she was broken, damaged, unqualified. But God doesn't call the equipped. He equips the called. And here's the mystery that will leave you breathless. Your greatest weakness has become your family's greatest strength. The very thing that almost destroyed you is the exact weapon God is using to set your bloodline free. You think that depression you battled for 30 years was wasted time. Number. It was you learning how to survive in darkness, so your descendants would never have to live there. You think that financial struggle that kept you up nights was punishment. Number. It was you developing the spiritual muscle to break poverty off your family name forever. Every prayer you prayed through tears has been breaking chains in your bloodline. Every time you got back up when staying down would have been easier, you were carving a new river through the bedrock of generational bondage. Picture this. A river flows for thousands of years around the same mountain, following the same path. But one day, the water pressure builds up so much that it breaks through the rock, carving a completely new course. That breakthrough doesn't just change where the water flows today. It changes the landscape forever. Your children's children will follow that new path, never having to circle the mountain that trapped your ancestors. Right now, at this very moment, spiritual forces in heavenly places are repositioning themselves around your family line. Wednesday isn't just your day of breakthrough. It's the day the dam breaks and freedom floods into your bloodline like a tsunami of grace. But I need you to understand the weight of this moment. If you back down now, if you let fear convince you to stay small, you're not just cheating yourself out of your miracle. You're robbing every generation that comes after you of their inheritance. Your great-granddaughter, who isn't even born yet, is counting on your obedience today. Here's your moment of truth. Type these 2 words in the comments right now. Chains broken. Don't think about it. Don't analyze it. Just type it. With those 2 words, you're not just declaring your freedom. You're planting liberation for those who will carry your name long after you've gone home to glory. Chains broken isn't just a confession. It's a prophetic decree that echoes through time itself. It's you standing up in the courtroom of eternity and declaring that the cycle stops here, the bondage ends now, and freedom begins with your bloodline. So tell me, chosen one, are you ready to be remembered as the ancestor your great-grandchildren thank God for? Or will you let Wednesday pass by like just another day, leaving them to fight the same battles you've been fighting? Because what happens next will determine whether your name is spoken with gratitude or regret for the next century. Beloved chosen one, we've walked through fire together tonight. From that first whisper when heaven interrupted your scroll, through every valley of tears, every furnace of testing, every moment of unveiling you've climbed, step by agonizing step. And now you stand at the summit, not just of this message, but of your entire story. Can you feel it, that flame flickering in your chest? It's not dying out, dear soul. It's burning brighter than it ever has, because what you carry now isn't just personal victory. It's generational fire. It's the torch that was meant to be passed. And you are the torchbearer. Look back for just a moment. Remember that night when you fell to your knees, broken and desperate, crying out, God, if you're real, show me you haven't forgotten me. Remember when your voice cracked with despair and you whispered, I can't do this anymore. This is his answer. Not just this message, not just this moment. Your entire survival is his thunderous response, echoing across 70, 80, 90 years of faithfulness. Every tear you thought was wasted, it was water for the flame. Every betrayal that crushed your spirit, it was coal for the fire. Every midnight when you wondered if dawn would ever come, it was the darkness that makes light shine brightest. You didn't just survive, beloved, you ascended. From the valley of weeping to the mountain of triumph, from the furnace of affliction to the palace of purpose, from the grave of dreams to the resurrection of destiny. But here's what will shake you to your core. This flame you carry was never meant to stay with you alone. Moses didn't keep the burning bush for himself. He carried that fire to lead 2 million slaves to freedom. Elijah didn't hoard the fire from heaven. He used it to consume the altars of false gods. The disciples didn't hide the flame of Pentecost. They carried it to light up the known world. And you? The flame burning in your chest right now is destined for something greater than your personal comfort. It's meant to ignite others, to warm the cold hearts, to light the dark paths, to kindle hope in souls who've given up believing that God still moves in miracle ways. This is why you had to walk through hell to get to this moment. This is why the pressure was so intense. This is why the enemy fought you so hard. Because he knew that once you understood what you carry, once you stepped into your full identity as a flame bearer, his kingdom would tremble. You are not just healed. You are a healer. You are not just delivered. You are a deliverer. You are not just blessed. You are a blessing with skin on, walking this earth with heaven's fire in your bones. The Apostle Paul declared in 2 Timothy 1-6, "Fan into flame the gift of God which is in you." That gift isn't dormant anymore, chosen one. It's roaring. And the world is about to see what happens when a soul who's been refined by fire finally lets their light shine without apology. But listen, and this is urgent, time is shorter than you think. Not your time on earth, but the time when flames like yours are still burning bright. This generation is drowning in darkness. They need torchbearers. They need living lighthouses. They need souls who've walked through the valley and can say with authority, "There is a way through." Your story isn't ending with personal victory. Your story is launching into eternal impact. Every person who sees your light, every soul who draws hope from your testimony, every heart that finds courage because you refuse to let your flame die, they become part of your legacy. Remember Wednesday, that day I told you to be alone? It wasn't just about receiving, it was about being commissioned. Because what God downloads in solitude, He releases in service. You are God's chosen flame bearer. You are the chain breaker in your bloodline. You are the miracle walker in your generation. You are the living proof that no pit is too deep, no night too dark, no pain too great for the God who raises the dead to demonstrate His power. Isaiah 60:1 thunders over your life right now. Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you. Arise from every grave they tried to bury you in. Shine in every dark place they said you'd never illuminate. For your light, that flame burning in your chest, it has come. Not tomorrow, not someday, now. If this word has ignited something eternal in your spirit, don't you dare hide it under a basket. Don't you dare dim it for people who are comfortable in darkness. Don't you dare apologize for carrying fire when the world is freezing. Share this message. Declare these truths. Pass the flame. Because this light was never just for you, it was for every soul still stumbling in shadows, still whispering desperate prayers at 3 a.m., still wondering if God remembers their name. You are not forgotten, chosen one. You are unforgettable. You are not finished. You are just beginning. You are not a survivor anymore. You are a flame bearer, a world changer, a living miracle carrying the fire of the Almighty. The flame is yours. The crown awaits. The world is watching. Now rise and let them see what victory looks like with skin on. You thought you survived on your own strength, didn't you? You thought those sleepless nights when your heart nearly stopped from grief, when the medical bills piled higher than your kitchen table, when that phone call came at 2 a.m. with news that should have destroyed you. You thought you made it through because you're tough. But let me ask you something that's going to shake you to your foundation. How many times should you have fallen, but didn't? How many moments should have been your last breath, but weren't? How many nights should you have given up completely, yet somehow the sun rose again. That wasn't your strength, beloved. That was mercy, silent, invisible, relentless mercy. Picture this: a tightrope walker suspended 200 feet above the ground. The crowd below watches in terror as he wobbles, stumbles, nearly falls. But what they can't see is the invisible safety net stretched beneath him. From their perspective, it looks like raw courage keeping him alive. But the walker knows the truth. Something unseen is ready to catch him. You've been that tightrope walker your entire life, and mercy has been your invisible net. Think back to 1987 when your husband had that massive heart attack. Remember sitting in that hospital waiting room at 3 a.m. And that nurse, what was her name? She brought you coffee without being asked. She sat with you for 20 minutes and talked about her own losses. You thought it was coincidence. It wasn't. That was mercy wearing scrubs. Remember when your social security check was late that month and your landlord should have evicted you? But his mother had just died, and grief made him forget about rent for 3 weeks. You called it luck. Heaven called it provision. What about that morning in 2003 when you almost took those pills? Your hand was shaking as you held that bottle, and then your granddaughter called out of nowhere after months of silence. "Grandma, I just wanted to hear your voice." You thought it was coincidence. It was intervention. The prophet Jeremiah understood this invisible hand when he wrote from his own pit of despair. "Because of the Lord's great love, we are not consumed, for his compassions never fail. They are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness." Every morning, beloved, every single morning for 80+ years, mercy has been your alarm clock. But here's what's going to break your heart wide open. You've been so busy looking for the big miracles, you missed the 1,000 small ones happening around you every single day. That grocery store clerk who always smiles at you, she's been having the worst year of her life. But something about your face makes her remember hope. That's mercy flowing through you back to her. Those aches and pains that should have crippled you by now, but somehow you keep moving, that's mercy rebuilding you cell by cell while you sleep. The fact that you're still sharp enough at your age to understand these words right now, that your eyes can still focus on this screen, that your heart is still beating steadily in your chest after everything it's been through, that's not good genetics, dear one. That's supernatural preservation. I knew a grandmother in Brooklyn, let me call her Rose, 83 years old, living on $1,200 a month, husband gone 5 years. She was ready to give up. The loneliness was eating her alive. But every Tuesday, like clockwork, her neighbor's cat would somehow escape and end up at her door, meowing until she opened it. Rose would call the neighbor, who'd come over for coffee to retrieve the cat. Those Tuesday conversations kept Rose alive for 3 more precious years. Rose thought it was about a wandering cat. Heaven knew it was about wandering hearts finding each other. How many times did mercy disguise itself as coincidence in your life? How many lucky breaks were actually love breaks from a God who refused to let you fall? Your daughter calling just when you needed to hear her voice, finding that $20 bill in your winter coat pocket right when groceries seemed impossible, waking up from that surgery when the doctors weren't sure you would, missing that appointment that turned out to be on the same day as that terrible accident on the highway. Every breath you've taken for the past 80 years has been a gift you didn't earn, wrapped in mercy you didn't deserve, delivered by a love that never gave up on you. But here's the shocking truth that's going to change how you see everything. That same mercy that caught you yesterday is the same mercy preparing something unprecedented for Wednesday. The invisible hand that held you through 8 decades of storms is about to become visible in ways that will leave you speechless. If you've ever felt that invisible rescue, if you've ever sensed something beyond yourself keeping you alive when logic said you should be gone, whisper this in your heart right now. Mercy carried me, because Wednesday isn't just another day, chosen one. Wednesday is when mercy stops being invisible and starts being undeniable. The net that caught you in secret is about to be revealed in power. And everyone who ever doubted that God still moves in the 21st century is about to see proof walking around in your life. But first, You need to understand why being alone that day isn't just a suggestion, it's a divine requirement for what's about to unfold. Listen to me, chosen one. What I'm about to tell you will shatter every curse that's been whispered over your family name for the last 100 years. You think you're just getting old. You think you're just another senior trying to make it through another day. But heaven sees something different. Heaven sees the chain breaker. Look at your hands right now, those weathered hands, those calloused fingers. Do you see failure? Do you see someone who's just marking time until the grave? Number. Those hands carry the power to snap chains that have strangled your bloodline since your great-great-grandmother first set foot on American soil. You are not only surviving for yourself, you are the chain breaker of your bloodline. Think about it. That addiction that's haunted your family tree like a demon jumping from father to son, mother to daughter. 3 generations of alcoholism. 4 generations of broken marriages. 5 generations of men who couldn't stay, women who couldn't trust, children who grew up believing love was a luxury they'd never afford. You've watched it destroy your father. You've seen it claim your siblings. You've felt it clawing at your own throat for 70 years. But you're still here. You're still standing. You're still fighting. That's not accident. That's assignment. The angel of the Lord came to Gideon when he was hiding in a winepress, threshing wheat in secret, terrified of his enemies. And what did heaven call this trembling, fearful man? The Lord is with you, mighty warrior. Judges 6:12. Mighty warrior. Not when Gideon felt strong. Not when Gideon looked brave. When he was broken. When he was hiding. When he was afraid. Just like you. You've been threshing wheat in secret your whole life, grinding out survival, hiding from the generational giants that have terrorized your family. But heaven doesn't see a victim in hiding. Heaven sees a mighty warrior in training. Every night you chose sobriety when your father chose the bottle. You were breaking links. Every day you stayed faithful to your marriage when divorce ran in your family like a hereditary disease. You were breaking links. Every time you chose to love your children when your own parents couldn't love you, you were breaking links. That rusted chain of generational bondage, it's been snapping link by link under divine fire, and you didn't even know it. I need you to understand something that will rock your world. Every tear you've cried in secret wasn't just pain, it was liquid fire melting the metal that bound your descendants. Every prayer you whispered in the dark wasn't just desperation, it was warfare. You were fighting battles in the spiritual realm that your grandchildren will never have to fight. But here's what breaks my heart. Here's what makes me weep for the chosen ones sitting in nursing homes and assisted living facilities across America right now. You think you failed because you can still see the damage. You think you didn't do enough because some of your children still struggle. You think the chain is still intact because the scars are still visible. Listen to me carefully. The chain is already broken. You just haven't heard it hit the ground yet. There was a woman in Detroit, 83 years old. Her family hadn't spoken to each other in 27 years. 27 years of silence. 27 years of grudges passed down like heirlooms. Her son wouldn't speak to her daughter. Her grandchildren had never met their cousins. Christmas was a battlefield. Funerals were war zones. But one Wednesday morning, this 83-year-old chain breaker decided enough was enough. She picked up the phone. She called her son. She said 4 words that would change everything. I forgive you, baby. Within 6 months, that family was whole again. Marriages were healed. Grandchildren were laughing together. Love returned to a bloodline that had forgotten what love looked like. One phone call. One moment of courage from one chosen woman. And a 100-year-old curse shattered like glass. That's your power, chosen one. It stops here, with you. It stops here, with you. The poverty that stalked your family like a hungry wolf. It stops here, with you. The fear that's been passed down like a genetic defect. It stops here, with you. The broken relationships, the bitter words, the silent treatments that have poisoned your family gatherings for decades. It stops here, with you. You want to know why you're still alive at 92 when the doctors said you'd be dead at 70? Because your assignment wasn't complete. You want to know why you survived that heart attack, that cancer, that accident that should have killed you. Because hell knows what happens when a chain breaker finally understands their authority. Say it with me right now. Say it out loud, even if you're alone in your room, even if your voice shakes, even if tears start flowing. It stops with me. Freedom begins with me. Say it again. Louder. It stops with me. Freedom begins with me. Feel that power in your voice. Feel that authority rising in your chest. That's not your words anymore. That's heaven's decree flowing through your vocal cords. You are rewriting destiny for future generations. Your great-great-granddaughter, who isn't even born yet. She's going to grow up free because you chose to break chains today. Your great-grandson, who's still decades away from existence, he's going to know love because you decided generational hate ends with you. But here's the urgency burning in my spirit right now. Time is running out, not your time. The time for chain breaking. Wednesday is coming, and what happens on Wednesday will determine whether these chains stay broken or whether they try to reform in the next generation. The question that will haunt eternity is this: will you die as the last victim, or will you rise as the first victor? Chosen one, do you hear that sound? That creaking? That's not your old house settling. That's the hinge of destiny turning after decades of silence. How many times did you knock on doors that never opened? How many applications went unanswered? How many dreams died in waiting rooms while younger faces got called first? How many nights did you lie awake wondering if God had forgotten your address? But listen to me now. Every rejection was redirection. Every closed door was protection. Every no was heaven saying not yet, because the door meant for you wasn't ready. The door that no man could open is swinging now. In Revelation 3-8, Jesus declares with thunderous authority, "See, I have placed before you an open door that no one can shut. Not might place, not will place someday, has placed." Present tense, already done, already secured. Picture this. You've been carrying a key your entire life. A strange, heavy key that never seemed to fit any lock you encountered. Employers looked at it and shook their heads. Family members questioned why you kept holding on to something so useless. Even you began to wonder if it was just dead weight. But that key wasn't broken, beloved. It was waiting. Waiting for the one door it was forged to open. The door with your name carved into its frame. The door that's been standing ready while you wandered through a maze of wrong turns, thinking you were lost when you were actually being led. Think about this. Every door that slammed in your face had the wrong lock. Every opportunity that passed you by was attached to the wrong building. Every path that felt blocked was simply not your path. But Wednesday changes everything. Let me tell you about Robert, 73 years old. Worked construction for 47 years until his knees gave out and his company let him go. Too old for most jobs, too proud to give up. For 2 years he knocked on doors. Nothing. The silence was deafening. His wife started looking at him with pity instead of pride. Then one Tuesday morning, his phone rang. A voice he didn't recognize said, "We need someone with your exact experience to oversee a major restoration project. When can you start?" Not a junior position, not part-time work. The supervisor role he'd dreamed of for decades but never thought possible at his age. The salary was double what he'd ever made. The respect was immediate. The purpose was undeniable. What changed? The door was always there, but it only opened when heaven said, "Now." You see, dear one, God doesn't just open doors, He times them. David was anointed king as a teenager, but didn't wear the crown until his 30s. Joseph dreamed of rulership at 17, but didn't rule until 30. Moses fled Egypt at 40, but didn't return as deliverer until 80. The waiting wasn't wasted, it was calculated, It was preparation for a door so significant that opening it too early would have destroyed you. Your door requires someone with your scars, your wisdom, your endurance, your perspective. Someone who's been rejected enough to appreciate acceptance. Someone who's been denied enough to recognize favor. Someone who's been forgotten enough to never forget others. That person is you. Right now. Today. This moment. But here's what will shock you. The door isn't just opening for you. You are the door for others. Every person who counted you out is about to witness what happens when heaven decides to showcase its faithfulness. Every voice that said too old is about to hear testimonies of divine timing that silences doubt. Your breakthrough isn't just personal, it's prophetic. It's proof that God still moves, still remembers, still delivers on promises that seem impossible. The enemy fought so hard to keep you from this moment because he knew once this door opened, others would see and believe. Your victory becomes their hope. Your elevation becomes their evidence that it's never too late when it's God's time. Right now, I need you to do something powerful. I need you to stop seeing yourself as forgotten and start seeing yourself as positioned. Stop calling it delay and start calling it divine timing. Stop saying if only and start saying even now. If you're ready to step through the door that's been waiting for you your whole life, type these 2 words right now. Door open. Not tomorrow. Not when you feel more confident. Right now. Those words aren't just a comment. They're a declaration. They're your faith in motion. They're your spirit agreeing with heaven's announcement that your season of knocking is over and your season of entering has begun. The key you've carried all these years, it's about to fit perfectly. The door you couldn't see, it's swinging wide. The opportunity that seemed impossible, it's becoming inevitable. But remember this, open doors don't wait forever. They're invitations, not guarantees. Heaven is calling you forward, but you must choose to walk through. So what will it be, chosen one? Will you keep staring at all the doors that stayed closed, or will you step through the one that's opening now? Because Wednesday is coming, and what happens on Wednesday requires someone who finally understands that their greatest setbacks were actually their greatest setups. The door is open, the invitation is clear. The question now is, are you ready to discover what's been waiting on the other side all along? Chosen one, listen to me carefully. What you're experiencing right now, that crushing weight on your chest, those sleepless nights, that sudden resistance appearing from nowhere, it's not coincidence. It's confirmation. The enemy always fights hardest when breakthrough is near. Think about this. Why do you think the attacks intensified just when you started believing again? Why did the phone calls stop coming right when you needed encouragement most? Why did that unexpected bill arrive the very week you decided to trust God with your finances? Because hell recognizes what you haven't seen yet. You're standing at the edge of your miracle, and darkness is throwing everything it has at you to make you turn back just before dawn breaks. Look at your life these past few months. Strange resistance where there should be open doors, last-minute losses that make no logical sense, sudden doubts flooding your mind about promises God whispered to your heart decades ago, friends turning cold, family members picking fights over nothing, your own body betraying you with mysterious aches and unexplained exhaustion. You thought you were losing your mind. You thought God had abandoned you. You thought maybe you heard him wrong all those years. But what if I told you this chaos is not your destruction, it's your confirmation? What if every attack is actually hell's admission that your victory is so close they can taste it? Scripture declares with thunderous authority in Isaiah 59:19, when the enemy comes in like a flood, the Spirit of the Lord will lift up a standard against him. When the enemy comes like a flood, not if, when. God knew this moment would arrive in your life. He saw the storm gathering while you were still in peaceful waters, and he already prepared the standard, his banner of victory to rise exactly when the flood reaches its peak. You know what terrifies demons about Wednesday? It's not that you'll suddenly become perfect, it's that you'll finally understand you never had to be. They've spent years convincing you that your scars disqualify you, that your age limits you, that your mistakes define you. But Wednesday is the day you discover that every scar is actually a medal of honor. Every grey hair is a crown of wisdom. Every mistake is proof you had the courage to try when others stayed safe in mediocrity. Right now, in this very moment, there are forces of darkness having emergency meetings about you. Yes, you. That grandmother in Ohio who thinks nobody notices her prayers. That grandfather in Texas who believes his best days are behind him. They're panicking because they know what's written in heaven's calendar for Wednesday. Picture a storm raging just before dawn. The wind howls its loudest. The rain pounds its hardest. Lightning splits the sky with desperate fury. But look closer on the horizon. The faintest hint of light is breaking through. The storm isn't getting stronger. It's making its last stand before the sun rises and renders it powerless. That's where you are right now. The storm of opposition isn't evidence that God forgot you. It's evidence that your dawn is about to break, and darkness knows its time is almost up. But here's what you must understand. This isn't just about personal victory. When you break through on Wednesday, you're not just breaking through for yourself. You're breaking through for every person in your bloodline who never made it this far. You're breaking through for that great-grandmother who died praying for breakthrough that never came in her lifetime. You're breaking through for children not yet born who will inherit the victory you're about to walk in. The resistance you feel is generational. The enemy isn't just fighting your breakthrough, he's fighting the breakthrough of everyone connected to you. That's why it feels so heavy. That's why it seems impossible. Because you're not just carrying your own destiny, you're carrying the accumulated prayers of generations. But here's the mystery that will shatter every doubt. The heavier the attack, the greater the breakthrough waiting on the other side. Hell doesn't waste ammunition on people who pose no threat. The intensity of what you're facing is heaven's way of saying, this one carries something precious. Right now, I need you to do something that will shift the spiritual atmosphere around your life. I need you to say these words out loud, not whisper them, not think them, but declare them with the authority of someone who knows their victory is already written. This is not my end. This is my breakthrough. Say it again. Let your voice cut through the confusion. Let your declaration echo in the spiritual realm where battles are really won and lost. This is not my end. This is my breakthrough. Feel that shift. That's the sound of confusion clearing. That's the atmosphere changing around your situation. Because when you speak God's truth over your circumstances, reality has to align with your words. The storm is not your enemy, chosen one. The storm is your escort into glory. Wednesday is coming, and with it, the dawn you've been waiting for your entire life. But before we step into that glorious Wednesday revelation, you need to understand something that will change how you see every closed door you've ever faced. Beloved chosen one, as we reach the end of this sacred encounter, I need you to carry 3 unshakable truths with you into Wednesday and beyond. First, remember this. The resistance you faced wasn't random, it was recognition. Hell saw what heaven placed inside you and fought desperately to keep it buried. But every attack only proved you carry something so powerful that darkness itself trembles at your breakthrough. Second, your Wednesday appointment isn't just about personal victory. You're stepping into a generational shift that will echo through your bloodline for decades to come. The prayers of your ancestors are about to be answered through your obedience. Third, the waiting wasn't wasted time, it was sacred preparation. Every tear refined you. Every closed door redirected you. Every season of silence positioned you for this exact moment when heaven declares, now is your time. But hear me clearly, precious soul, you are not walking this path alone. The same God who whispered your name before time began is walking with you into Wednesday's glory. He hasn't brought you this far to abandon you at the threshold of miracle. Romans 8:31 reminds us, if God is for us, who can be against us? That's not just scripture, that's your reality. And beyond God's faithfulness, You have this community. Look around these comments. See these hearts beating in rhythm with yours. Feel these spirits recognizing their own story in your testimony. We are not just viewers on a screen, we are family in faith, united by the same calling, marked by the same fire. When Wednesday comes and solitude surrounds you, remember you carry the prayers of thousands who understand your journey. When the enemy whispers lies about your worthiness, remember this community stands ready to remind you who you really are. So let me ask you this final question, and let it settle deep in your spirit. If God trusted you to survive everything that tried to break you, why would He not trust you to handle everything He's about to give you? Take a moment. Let that truth wash over every doubt, every fear, every whisper of unworthiness. Now, before I release you into your destiny, join me in prayer. Wherever you are, your living room, your kitchen, your car, place your hand on your heart, and let me speak over your life with the authority of 50 years walking with the Almighty. Heavenly Father, Creator of all that is seen and unseen, I place my hands upon the shoulders of every precious soul hearing these words. Lord, you see them, not just their pain, but their potential. Not just their scars, but their strength. Not just their past, but their promised future. Father, I pray for supernatural peace to flood their hearts right now. Where anxiety has made its home, let your presence evict every fear. Where doubt has whispered lies, let your truth thunder louder than any deception. Where loneliness has carved deep caverns, let your love fill every empty space. God, bless their Wednesday, guard their solitude. Meet them in that sacred space with revelations that will reshape their understanding of who they are and why they're here. Let Wednesday become the hinge upon which their entire future swings from survival to victory. Open doors they haven't even dreamed of knocking on. Provide resources they haven't thought to ask for. Send divine connections that will accelerate their purpose. Heal their bodies, restore their relationships, multiply their provision. Most of all, Father, let them feel your pleasure. Let them know in their bones that you are proud of how they've carried what you've given them. Let them sense your smile, your approval, your deep delight in who they've become through the fire. Surround them with angels. Silence every voice of accusation. Break every chain of limitation. Release them into the fullness of their calling, with joy unspeakable and glory that cannot be hidden. In Jesus' mighty name, the name above every name, the name that causes demons to flee and heaven to respond. Amen and amen. Now, chosen one, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell us how God spoke to your heart today. What shifted in your spirit? What revelation broke through? Don't hold back, your testimony might be exactly what someone else needs to hear. Share this message with someone who's been struggling. Text it to that friend who's been walking through a dark valley. Post it where hurting hearts can find hope. Because when we lift each other up, heaven responds with acceleration. Ask us to pray for you. This community believes in the power of agreement. Whatever